Russia and Ukraine have a new deal aimed at limiting certain military strikes. The White House says both countries agreed to eliminate using force in the Black Sea and work toward ending strikes against energy facilities. Meanwhile, Russia carried out new drone strikes in Kyiv overnight. ABC's Patrick Reevell is following the latest from London. Patrick, this is not the full ceasefire President Trump wants Vladimir Putin to accept, but what does this mean in terms of making progress toward that?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, just in the last hour or so, the White House has put out statements based on the results of these talks that have taken place in the last couple of days in Saudi Arabia between the US and Russia and between the US and Ukraine. And it appears that Russia and Ukraine have basically agreed to stop strikes on shipping in the Black Sea. They also say that they are going to be working on measures to try and enforce this 30-day pause on strikes on energy infrastructure that Vladimir Putin said he was going to agree to a week ago, but so far has not really been observed by either side. But I think what this is really is it actually resurrects a deal that was agreed and brokered by the United Nations with Turkey back in 2022, where Russia basically agreed to stop striking cargo ships going from Ukrainian ports and basically lift its naval blockade to allow in particular grain shipments to leave from Ukraine, because Ukraine is a crucial provider of food for the world. And it appears now that basically Russia has agreed to go back to that deal, which it actually left in 2023. In exchange, it appears that the US has agreed to help Russia basically get some of its food and agricultural and fertilizer exports back onto the world market, and to ease or lift sanctions on specific Russian companies related to food exports and to agricultural exports. That's what the Kremlin is saying, and the US White House statement also suggests that. That, again, is something that was in that deal back in 2022. So while this is significant, it is an agreement between the two to at least limit some types of strikes. In reality, it's still extremely limited. What we're seeing here really is Russia basically agreeing to stop firing missiles at cargo ships in the Black Sea. So as you say, this is still very far from an actual full ceasefire, Diane.
So is this an indication that these talks are moving in the right direction, or are they sort of separate in a way?
You know, so we heard in the statement from the White House, in the readouts, they said that both sides had agreed to try and move towards a full ceasefire. And we actually heard from President Zelensky in a press conference earlier today, which we've just been getting some lines from, and he there said that both sides had agreed to try and push towards a full ceasefire, and that this was a demonstration of their commitment to that. The White House hopes that this sort of measure, this sort of partial agreement, can be a confidence-building measure, and this is how, when you get enough of these sort of steps, eventually you reach a full ceasefire. And they've actually been very optimistic about that. But I think in reality, another way of looking at this is that Russia is basically trying to bog down the US and Ukraine in kind of the nitty-gritty of already discussions of very limited restrictions and pauses. And so there's a big question: does Vladimir Putin really actually want to get to a full ceasefire, Diane?
All right, Patrick Reevell, thank you.